Hello, hello, hello. Okay, boys and girls. Okay, boys and girls. Are you ready for some crappy tech? Are you ready for some crappy tech? So, I'm done with the politics for a while. I'm done with the politics. I'm done with the news reading. I'm just sitting here playing around and doing my little projects. And I figure as I go, I'll show you some of the things that I'm doing. Some of the interesting things, whether or not they make it to classes. I'm going to try to turn this into a class, but who knows? But basically, what I've done today is I have created a crappy network scanning web app using NMAP, PHP, Cron Jobs. And I figured I'd show you this. Again, it's one of those simple things. It's a simple thing. It's a stupid thing. But it's kind of like one of those fun little projects you put together. And then you take this fun little project and then add some more code to actually make it kind of cool. So basically what NMAP is it is a network mapping software in the Linux world. The cool part about NMAP is that it's command line. And then you can create output files. You can output to CSV. You can output to text or HTML. You can output in a grep type format. So if you know what grep is, you can basically output in a format that's easy to parse with grep. And the cool thing is once you've outputted what the nmap has found, then you can parse it, and then you can do interesting things. So you can do things like dump that information into databases. So like from a security standpoint, what can be interesting is if you have nmap run, let's say you have nmap run every 10 or 20 minutes, something like that, it can bring in everything that it finds, and then it can update tables. You can basically parse using some kind of back-end programming language. You can parse what nmap brought in, and then you can update a table, and then you can go through and you can do queries on the table and basically do things such as look for new computer devices. So, show all computer devices that have only been on the network for the past hour. Show all computer devices that have only been on the network for the past day. Something like that. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with nmap. But anyways, what I was decided to do today, kind of playing around with this, trying to figure out exactly what kind of project I'm going to do in the future. So what I did is I created basically a crappy NMAP web app. And so what I've done is I've used my Raspberry Pi, so my fancy dancy Raspberry Pi. I have Ubuntu Desktop operating system actually installed on the Raspberry Pi. I did a class about that. Actually just got uploaded. So what I've done is I've installed the desktop OS for Ubuntu on my Raspberry Pi. And then I've created this little app, and basically what happens is I use the Cron, so Cron Jobs are basically a job scheduler for the Linux world, and so every 10 minutes, or on the 10-minute mark, every hour, every day, every week, basically it fires off this nmap script to scan the local network and then output the information that it finds to an HTML file. And then basically I'm using PHP to then create a little PHP script, basically bring in information from that HTML file and then present it as a website. So I figured I'd show you this today because it's interesting. It's curious. I mean, look, if you're a freaking old timer, look, I understand. Oh, you've been doing tech for 1,000 years. Fine, this is stupid. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. Again, how useful is it for you in your world? Who knows? But it's kind of interesting. So this is actually the output. So again, I have my little Raspberry Pi running, and I have Apache 2 installed. So Apache 2 and PHP. So I'll make it clear. So there's no MySQL on it, but there is Apache 2 and there is PHP. So on 192.168.1.23, I have a script called test.php. And basically what this does is the first thing it does is it prints out the server timestamp. So again, the cron job is supposed to fire every 10 minutes, so I just want to have a little troubleshooting routine to know when things have fired off. So as we can see here, the current, if I do a refresh, the current timestamp on the server is 149, and we can see that when this actually ran was 140 compared to the web server. So we can see that this last ran about 9 minutes ago. So in approximately 30 seconds, it will fire off and do the nmap again. One of the things to keep in mind with this is that whenever nmap is actually running, this file will disappear. It's one of the quirks. Again, this is a crappy web app. This file will disappear. So you do have to be careful about like when you refresh. So again, like when you're going to run nmap can take a while to run. It can take anywhere between like a couple of minutes to more than a couple of minutes to run. So that's why you want to do a cron job that's relatively long, like every 10 minutes, maybe every 20 minutes, maybe every 30 minutes. You want to be careful. If it's less than every 5 minutes, especially depending on how many devices are on the network, it may start actually each iteration of the call to NMAP may start running into each other. But anyways, basically you've got this thing here. It's kind of interesting. So basically when you run NMAP, it's just putting this is kind of like the default standard stuff it's putting out. So it's showing you the IP addresses it's found. So this is my Netgear router. So it shows you things like shows you the MAC address here, shows you the ports and whether they're open or not, what their states are. Again, we got 192.168.1.2. We can see that this is an Apple device. We can see this is Airport, so it's probably my Airport Extreme. Then we can come down here. Again, we've got another Apple device at 192.168.1.3. It's got an iPhone sync on there, Apple. So basically, this is a way that you can just go through and you can see relatively easily what's on your network. And the cool thing too, let's say you're doing troubleshooting. So let's say you're going into an environment like back when I used to have my computer repair business. Let's say I'm going into an environment. I want to actually do an audit, track down every frickin' device that's showing up on NMAP and make sure it's up to snuff. One of the cool things here is since this is in a nice, basically again, I'm looking at this on my Mac Pro. So I'm not looking at this on my Raspberry Pi. My Raspberry Pi is somewhere else. I'm looking at this on my personal computer. So what I can do is I can simply come here. I can do File. I can do Print. This is probably going to fail out. Oh, no, it's actually, but I could actually print this out and then have that and then like literally walk through the facility, find each one of these devices and scribble it off when I find the devices. So it's kind of cool that way. And you can go through and you can see even in my small little network, got a lot of different things. You know, 192.168.14, you know, that's another Netgear thing. We have an HP device here. Lots of Apple. When you're like, Eli, yeah, I don't know if Eli is really an Apple sheep. I mean, Eli says he's an Apple sheep, but is he really an Apple sheep? Okay, might be an Apple sheep. Okay, admittedly, I might have a couple of Apple devices. And then we can come down here. It says when it was done, 13 hosts are up, it found, and it scanned again. So this came out at 93.45 seconds. So that was a minute and a half. So my small network, when there's not a lot on the network, it actually did take about a minute and a half. So again, that's where you have to be careful about the cron job. So the cron job should have fired again. And so we can see this was at 1340. If I do a refresh now, oops. Okay, if I do a refresh, I guess the cron job is still trucking along at this point. Well, hopefully we'll get the thing back. And, this won't be completely embarrassing. If we go over and we take a look at the Raspberry Pi, we can just take a look here. Oh, and with this, again, the script and everything is pretty simple. So basically what I have is this test script that I'm hitting right here. Basically, it's a PHP script, and so I'm going to echo server timestamp. Then I'm going to echo date. The date function allows you to actually format the timestamp. So this is hours, minutes, seconds, and AM or PM. So that's what spits out that timestamp. Then I'm going to echo, and then I'm going to echo out the pre. So this is the pre-formatted. So do remember in the HTML world, just to show you. Just to show you, it does come back. Again, but that is one of the problems, right? So when it's going through and doing the scan another time, so like that scan actually took 193 seconds to do. So while it's doing the scan, this isn't going to show up on the screen. So again, it's crappy. It's crappy. But anyways, what pre-formatted does is basically when you have a pre-formatted text file, when the web browser reads it, it will keep the formatting from that text file. If you do not put the pre here, so basically if I comment out the pre, and then we go back, then this should look like a bunch of garbage. See, this is what happens if you don't use the pre tag. So that's why you want the pre tag there, because again, the NMAP is going to print everything out in normal text, and then a web browser is looking for the HTML tags. If it doesn't have the HTML tags, it's just going to lump it all together, such like this. So that's why you use things like pre-tags when you're outputting from something. Let me click the save again. So basically, I've got that going on. And then as far as the cron tab goes, again, you do sudo cron tab e. So this allows you to edit the cron tab. You go through here, and again, this is just basically scheduling software. And what I have here is basically what this is saying is every 10-minute mark, of every hour. It's like every day, every week, every month. Basically, I want you to run this command. So nmap 192.168.1.0/24. So basically what this means is I want to scan this entire subnet. So whatever subnet you're on, so you might be on a 10 subnet, whatever that is, you might have to modify that here. -on. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to output in standard text file, as text format. And so what I'm then doing is I'm outputting to nmap.html. So this is going to write to the HTML folder, nmap.html. And then it'll spit out things that I've done here. Again, for the HTML folder, I have changed the owner. So the owner is Ubuntu. So depending on what your username is, I changed the owner of HTML to Ubuntu, and I have also changed the mod, chmod. I've changed the permissions to be 777. That's probably not a great idea depending on what you want to do in life, but you know, I'm just trying to do things that are pretty simple here. So if we do ls-l, basically what we can see here is that the HTML folder, basically everybody has all permission to that folder, and then Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is the default user on the Ubuntu distribution for Raspberry Pi. So that is the owner of that folder. So those are the things that I've done. And then that gets you the fancy dancy cool output of this, which I think is kind of cool. So, you know, it's one of those things to think about for the noobs out there, for the noobs. I know the old timers like, what is this crap? This is so simple. But I think it's kind of interesting. That's why I might probably turn it into a project. I'll probably turn it into a project. Why not? I've already done this work. I'm a content creator. I create content. But I think this is an interesting thing. It's like an interesting learning example, learning lesson. It's a learning lesson. Anyways, I think it's interesting because basically it allows you to use multiple different types of technology, right? So you've got the HTML and you got the PHP. And then you got the cron job, and then with that cron job, you're firing off an nmap command. That nmap is then outputting into a text format, and then you're actually bringing it up on a web page, basically from an external computer. There's a lot of very interesting, very simple lessons here. And again, this is one of the things I really want the new people to understand out there when they all keep talking. Eli, what language should I learn? What language? Eli, I want to know the language I should learn. And again, I want to show you something is asininely. This is asininely stupid. I almost don't want to do a class on this. I almost don't want to do this video. It's so asininely stupid. But something just as simple as this. I mean, think about this. As simple as this. You got to know Linux. You got to know PHP. You got to know HTML. You got to be able to understand the command lines and all that and be able to do the cron tab. There's actually a few types of technology that you have to have a basic understanding of to get something as simple as this to work. So anyways, that's what I'm doing. I'm not talking about politics anymore. I'm not talking about politics. My wife is also happy. I was out there walking the dog yesterday. I was walking the dog with my wife yesterday, and she's all like blue sky, like cotton candy and fairy dust. Eli, it's so good with Black Lives Matter and all this stuff going on. And I'm just sitting there walking my dog, walking little Peanut, like, yep. I'm not that confident. We got a resurgence of coronavirus going on. We've got a depression that we know is coming. We have cities that were getting burned. We have police getting defunded. Again, as I said, it's not fun anymore. It's not fun. You know what I'm saying? When you got a nice, pure pandemic, you can have a lot of fun with a pure pandemic, right? You got a pandemic. You got lots of people gagging up lungs. People dying here, people dying there. Oh my God, you can have so much fun with that. You can just riff on a pandemic. But you have a pandemic, and you have a depression, and you have Black Lives Matter, and you have cities getting burned, and you have a trade war that's still going on. Nobody's forgotten. Nobody remembers the trade war. That trade war is still happening with China, boys and girls. Brexit. Anybody remember Brexit? Yeah, Brexit's still happening. Do you remember the days when I was worried about Brexit? Remember the far off time a few months ago when I was like, yeah, I'm really, there's a lot of things going on in the world. I'm really worried about the next big recession. And, people aren't focusing enough on what Brexit's going to do. The UK is the fifth largest economy in the world. That is crashing and burning out of the EU. Oh my golly, when that happens, I mean, we're going to really have to think about the repercussions of that. Remember when my biggest concern was Brexit? Yeah, anyways. It's not my biggest concern anymore. It's like, I've got 99 problems, and Brexit's like all the way damn near the bottom. Still a problem, but woo. So anyways, we're going to be doing more technical stuff here, because it's just, yeah. It's all fun to like sit around the dumpster fire and roast marshmallows and make fun of the dumpster fire. Oh, then you got a plague. Then you got a depression. And you got the whole city burning. I think that's the thing. Like when you look at commentary, when you look at doing commentary videos, because I know some people are like, I want to do commentary videos. Here's the thing you got to understand about commentary videos. When you're commentating on a dumpster fire, right? That's fun. Commentating on a dumpster fire, that's just good all the way around. It doesn't matter what side you take. Take their side, take nobody's side, take everybody's side. When you're looking at a good dumpster fire, it doesn't really matter what side you take. You just kind of sit back and you kind of riff. You just riff on the dumpster fire and everybody has fun. When whole city blocks start burning. Yeah, it's not so amusing anymore. It's like, oh, wow. Remember when this was a dumpster fire? Before it caught that building beside it on fire, and then the other one is on fire, and all those people are throwing Molotov cocktails out there. It's all fun and games till people start throwing Molotov cocktails. So anyways, stay tuned. Stay tuned for more weird little things in the tech world. I'm just going to return to the tech world. I don't know what to say. What do you do about a plague? I don't know. What do you do about probably the worst or possibly a worse depression than the 1930s? What do you do when the politicians themselves seem to want society to burn? What do you do when the mass media itself is actually urging people to burn society so that they can make a couple of extra cents off of CPM? Again, they're not even making millions. It's not even like they're all getting rich. It's not like, yeah, society's burning and we're getting rich. Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, let's buy another South Beach condo. No, they're instigating society to burn just so, they can make a couple of extra pennies. Like, really? That person's business was worth $10 to you. Wow, getting that person's business to burn to the ground earned you an extra $10. Woo. So, anyways, more of this stuff. Just so you know. And do remember, EliTheComputerGuy.com. New classes are coming. Because, what else are you going to do? When everybody else is trying to burn down society, somebody's got to be the poor bastard to try to rebuild it. Just saying, somebody. So anyways, EliTheComputerGuy.com still has new videos. New video went up today. On, again, how to install Ubuntu Desktop. And I have to say, away from that crap, Ubuntu Desktop actually works freaking really well. So this is a Raspberry Pi 4 with 4 gigs of RAM. And I really have to say, Ubuntu Desktop genuinely works very well. I've been using Ubuntu Desktop a lot over the past few days. And I've kept expecting, to be clear, I've kept expecting it to go to hell. I'm an IT guy. There's not a lot of documentation of installing Ubuntu Desktop onto a Raspberry Pi 4. So what I expected was that a couple of things would work. I figured okay, well, this gives me a little bit of a desktop environment. Maybe this gives me a decent web browser, but I'm sure a lot of stuff will fail. Like my thought was there would be 80% of the functionality would fail, but if 20% of the functionality worked pretty decently, it might be worth it. But honestly, 100% honestly, been using Ubuntu Desktop for a number of days now. And again, like this project and a couple of other things, Ubuntu Desktop works really damn nice on a Raspberry Pi 4. The only time I get some weird issues, I get that weird, like the screen will go black every once in a while, and then I like have to like move my cursor around, and as I move the cursor around, it's almost like a paint software where it uncovers what's on the screen. But if you go and you open a window or something, it clears that out. That's actually really the only problem I've had so far. So I've been doing a little coding, I've been doing the Apache 2, been doing terminal, been doing all the basic administrative crap that you would do in a GUI. It works well. It works well. So if you're like me and you really genuinely dislike the Raspberry Pi OS, it's just not my type of thing. Really think about putting Ubuntu Desktop on. So far, we'll see. As you know how it goes. In about a week. I mean, like, that's the crappiest, worthless, most piece of crap desktop. I don't even know why they allow you to do it. We all know I'll probably be saying that in about a week. But right now, Ubuntu Desktop works pretty well. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go. Gotta try to do some more videos. Be like, hey, look, everybody. Hey, look. Once you get done burning down society, here are some ways you can try to rebuild it again. Does anybody want to rebuild society? Oh, no. Everybody else is supposed to rebuild. That's the other thing. My last thing. Do you realize with everything going on right now, how much of what is said is what other people need to do? I'm just, as somebody who's actually been doing like tech education for like 10 and a half years, again, gatekeeperless, authorityless, free to the end user education for the past 10 and a half years. Can I just say, again, slide this across the table. Do you know how many times I've heard and how many people are saying what other people need to do? Well, somebody needs to fix the healthcare system. Well, somebody needs to fix the education system. Well, somebody needs to fix the housing. Well, somebody needs to do. I'm just saying, what do you do in a society when everybody's like, you know what somebody needs to do? Somebody needs to fix this. Like, well... Some of us are creating an authorityless, gatekeeperless, free to the end user education, and have been doing so for a decade. I can tell you, it's not bad. It's a job. It is a job, but somebody needs to actually do it. Do it. Yeah, somebody needs to do it. No. What are you going to do? Okay, you've marched. Fine. You've thrown your Molotov cocktails. Cool. Okay, now what are you going to build? Are you going to create a child care facility for disadvantaged people that is inexpensive enough that they can bring their children there and still have enough money to be able to pay the rent? Are you going to do that? Are you going to create some kind of a food bank system or food delivery system? So to make sure that people in your areas that can get nutritious and healthy food, you can actually have it delivered right to their house. And so if they're not able to cook or whatever else, you got to create that. An education system of some sort. You're going to create an education system of some sort. Again, it's gatekeeperless, authorityless. People who need it will be able to come in, and you're going to be able to find a way to be able to provision for it. You gotta do no. Somebody needs to do that. Somebody really needs to do that. Okay, I'm done. I just had to get that off my chest. That's. People out there throwing Molotov cocktails, and there are people in their basements just trying to create education. Just saying. Which do you want to be at the end of the day? One of them's cooler. One of them's sexier. One of them gets all the girls and all that. And the other one helps build society. Slap that across the table. See y'all later.